Meghan Markle did take the dress. She's admitted it in another PR catastrophe for the Duchess of Delusion.
Meghan Markle was going to be the next face of Dior, or the next brand ambassador signed to the French design house. But then that deal got completely squashed in the press by Dior themselves.
Dior doesn't just slam its doors shut for no reason. When a legendary fashion house that's dressed princesses, first ladies, and Hollywood icons suddenly cuts ties, you know something big went down behind the scenes, and Meghan Markle never saw it coming. In her world, designers are supposed to jump at the chance to dress her, stylists should be fighting for a spot on her team, and luxury brands, they're expected to treat her like pure fashion royalty. But here's the real shocker. The fashion world doesn't run on fame. It runs on trust, respect, and reputation. And when Dior allegedly dug into all the behind-the-scenes drama, the answer came loud and clear. No, thank you. Because in this business, true status isn't about shouting your name. It's earned quietly through consistency and loyalty. While Meghan was busy shaping her image as a global humanitarian queen, whispers inside the fashion world started to swirl. Stylists began murmuring about fittings that turned chaotic, and designers mentioned confusing back and forths that left them frustrated. Borrowed gowns supposedly led to some uncomfortable calls later, and a few creative directors reportedly decided to walk away entirely. And let's be real, once gossip like that hits the high fashion circuit, it spreads fast. In such a tight-knit circle, every word counts, every look is analyzed, and once trust starts to crack, it's almost impossible to stitch it back together. Once again, Meghan's side of the story told something totally different. In her version, everything looked flawless, smooth, and sparkling with perfection. She was the misunderstood one, the outsider who everyone supposedly envied, the woman treated unfairly just because she shined too bright. And of course, in her eyes, Dior, the same powerhouse that dresses actual royalty, just randomly decided to freeze her out for no reason at all. But that version doesn't quite line up. Luxury brands protect their image like it's solid gold. They don't make major moves unless something serious forces their hand. So what really went down behind those locked doors? Insiders claim things got so tense, so awkward, that Dior quietly chose to back away instead of stirring more chaos. No big statements, no messy public fight, just a calm, deliberate retreat that spoke volumes. The first warning sign wasn't even a headline. It was total silence. For months, Meghan's PR team reportedly hustled non-stop, trying to land a Dior collab, pitching couture loans, custom gowns, anything that could tie her name to that iconic brand. But Dior, they didn't budge 1 inch. No press releases, no polite mentions, not even a subtle nod of recognition, just absolute, deafening quiet. And in the high fashion world, silence isn't empty. It's a message. Because when Dior stops answering, everyone knows something's up. That's how major fashion houses keep things smooth in the industry. They stay classy, keep quiet, and avoid unnecessary drama. But with Meghan, nothing at all. No response, no polite "we'll pass," not even a formal decline. Just unread emails and an icy silence that everyone in the fashion world started whispering about. No publicist ever wants to see that dreaded message floating through industry inboxes saying, "We do not lend, collaborate, or communicate regarding this talent." No explanation, no sugarcoating, just a firm internal freeze. In the world of couture, that's not some minor snub, that's a full-on shockwave. Dior doesn't pull back easily, and when they do, people notice. We're talking about a legendary brand that's dressed icons like Marilyn Monroe, collaborated with Princess Diana, and built long-lasting trust with stars like Jennifer Lawrence. These women had massive fame, non-stop media pressure, and undeniable influence. But Dior managed it all with elegance and professionalism. Yet Meghan Markle, who was aiming to crown herself as a modern royal fashion icon, didn't even get the courtesy of a simple "no, thank you." What she reportedly got instead was something much colder, a total professional freeze-out. And behind the scenes in Paris, fashion insiders weren't shocked one bit. To them, it was just confirmation of what they already knew. This move didn't just pop up out of thin air, it was written all over the walls long before it went public. One insider summed it up perfectly: Dior protects the brand, not the celebrity. That says it all. In simple terms, if there's even a hint of risk, too much drama, too too many last-minute changes, confusion, or the threat of messy headlines, Dior doesn't wait around. They pull back fast, keeping their reputation spotless. According to whispers floating around, Dior's higher-ups had already made up their minds long before the silence became official. They didn't see a long-term win here, and in the world of couture, that's all it takes for doors to start closing quietly but firmly. These were the exact red flags that no luxury house wants anywhere near its name: unpredictability, tension, and unnecessary noise. In high fashion, reputation is currency, and once that trust starts to fade, it's game over. If Dior's quiet no was the warning shot, what came next was the real shakeup. And it all supposedly began with a rumor the public was never meant to hear. Long before the Dior silence hit headlines, insiders in the fashion world were already murmuring about it, not in interviews, not online, but in private conversations between stylists, editors, and wardrobe directors who'd started noticing the same odd patterns. No big announcements, no public scandal, just quiet side eyes, subtle whispers, and raised brows that told everyone something strange was brewing. The whispers all followed the same script. A luxury outfit or high-end accessory would be loaned out for a shoot or an event, and then something would go off track. Returns would drag on way longer than expected. Deadlines slipped quietly by, and gentle reminders, reportedly left unanswered. Eventually, the lenders would hear excuses like, "It's still being used," or "It's not available yet." And that's when eyebrows started rising. In fashion, one delayed return or missing gown isn't the end of the world. It happens in the fast-paced chaos of styling all the time. But according to insiders, this wasn't just one little mix-up. It was a pattern. And in the luxury scene, when something keeps happening over and over, it stops being a coincidence. It becomes your reputation. Some magazines even hinted they had to chase their borrowed jewelry and gowns multiple times before finally getting them back. That's when those harmless whispers started turning into serious conversations. One stylist allegedly confided that Meghan seemed to believe that once she wore something, it became part of her personal image, almost like the item belonged to her from that moment on. Others stepped in to defend her, suggesting maybe it was just confusion or that her assistants could have mishandled the returns. Still, for the fashion elite watching from the sidelines, it was hard not to notice the same story playing out again and again, and in that world, repetition speaks louder than any statement. That kind of excuse might slide once, maybe twice, but according to insiders, the same story just kept looping back every time a new rumor surfaced. Designers began pulling away, slowly but surely. The lending stopped, the invitations started to fade, and behind the glossy Fashion Week smiles, a quiet industry warning began to circulate. If you need your pieces returned on time, don't send them to Meghan. There wasn't any explosive scandal, no public meltdowns, just a quiet, repeating pattern that fashion insiders couldn't ignore. The public never caught wind of it, but in the world of haute couture, reputation doesn't need to scream, it whispers, and those whispers travel fast. A few subtle conversations in the right Paris showrooms or London fashion offices can flip someone's standing overnight. Still, none of these situations sparked a total fallout. Not yet. The real game changer came later, when one particular gown resurfaced and sent shockwaves through both Paris and London. People who thought the situation was long buried were suddenly talking again, all because of the emerald green gown. The dress insiders claimed changed everything. Meghan wore that unforgettable gown during a major variety photo shoot. The look was bold, dramatic, and absolutely impossible to ignore. Pure star power on display. But here's where things got tricky. The gown wasn't purchased and it wasn't gifted. It was loaned under a clear deal. Wear it for the shoot, then send it right back. But according to fashion insiders, once the cameras stopped flashing and the shoot wrapped up, things didn't go quite as planned. That's when the quiet tension brewing beneath the surface started turning into a full-on fashion storm. That gown never made its way back, ever. Designers waited patiently, stylists followed up politely at first, then more firmly, sending a trail of unanswered emails, but still no gown. After a while, insiders say they simply gave up, choosing peace over confrontation. It became just another unsolved mystery on a growing list of awkward fashion situations that no one wanted to touch. Then, years later, came the jaw-dropping twist. Meghan reportedly showed up at a private event wearing what insiders swore was the exact same emerald green gown. Not a copy, not a reworked version, but the original piece. Within minutes, the fashion world went wild. Photos flew through stylists' group chats, comparisons were made, and receipts were pulled fast. Screenshots from the original Variety wardrobe list were placed side by side with the new event photos, and according to those who saw them, every single detail matched. The fabric, the stitching, the silhouette, everything. It was identical.
Meghan Markle's fashion feud has now been revealed. She has now been caught on camera wearing a $1,695 designer dress that she was once accused of stealing after a photo shoot, and it comes as top designers.
That one surprise appearance set the entire fashion scene ablaze all over again. Stylists were left speechless, some nervously laughing because they couldn't believe what they were seeing. In an industry where every dress carries a story, that emerald gown had just reopened one of the most whispered about chapters in recent memory. Some fashion insiders were stunned into silence, while others were quietly furious. And the original designer, who had stayed completely quiet for years, was reportedly mortified watching their creation resurface, looking as if it had always been a personal possession. Fashion houses don't mind lending their masterpieces, it's part of the game. But what they won't tolerate is when agreements get ignored. In the world of luxury couture, trust is sacred, and once it's broken, doors slam shut fast. That emerald green gown didn't just fade into rumor, it became proof. Proof of everything people had been whispering about for years. No more speculation, no more maybe. For many insiders, that was the moment the quiet stories finally got confirmed. When those private screenshots reached the higher-ups, things escalated instantly. The reaction was swift, calm, and ice cold. As the images started circulating through fashion circles, the top executives didn't rant or post statements. They just made silent, decisive moves behind the scenes. Stylists who used to pitch Meghan for major brand campaigns suddenly weren't available. Designers who once fought to dress her stopped reaching out. Those glossy PR emails that used to flood her team, they just stopped. Lookbooks weren't sent, and calls quietly went unanswered. Nobody needed to explain a thing. The message was crystal clear. Working with Meghan had gone from being an exciting privilege to a serious professional risk, and to make sure nothing like that ever happened again, several top luxury brands reportedly locked down their lending rules tight: refundable deposits, strict return deadlines, written confirmations, and even staff assigned specifically to track every high-value piece. The fashion world had learned its lesson, and they weren't about to repeat it. When new fashion requests came in under Meghan's name, several luxury brands reportedly turned them down instantly, always politely, of course. The replies were carefully phrased: "Inventory is limited," or "Unfortunately, unavailable at this time." But behind those polished lines, insiders say the real message couldn't have been clearer. It just wasn't worth the risk anymore. Her fame didn't matter, her public image didn't matter. In the world of haute couture, reputation outranks everything. These garments aren't just clothes, they're art, museum-level creations that carry the brand's legacy, and once trust starts to crack, there's no easy fix. In this elite circle, reputation is currency, and once it's spent, you can't buy it back. Stylist group chats reportedly grew brutally honest. One message summed it up in a single line: "If you need it back, don't send it." Another executive from a luxury house allegedly said it even sharper: "Drama follows her wardrobe." Harsh? Maybe. But in high fashion, perception moves faster than facts, and once that perception sticks, it's almost impossible to shake. Even brands that tried to stay neutral eventually began stepping away quietly just to keep their own names clean. And then came the moment that sealed everything. Dior reportedly initiated an internal background review, something they almost never do. The results, according to insiders, were overwhelmingly cautious. The message was simple but final: reliability comes before celebrity. In couture, when lenders start feeling uneasy, doors don't just close, they lock. By that stage, Meghan wasn't battling whispers anymore. She was up against what insiders described as a full-scale industry freeze-out. In the world of high fashion, unpredictability screams risk. And in that game, risk costs more than any gown ever could. According to insiders, Meghan dreamed of embodying the grace and power of couture royalty. But here's the truth. In that elite circle, Elegance isn't just about wearing designer clothes, it's about reliability, discipline, and above all, trust. After Dior's quiet but deliberate exit, a powerful message rippled through the entire fashion world, not through press releases, but through whispers echoing in studios, showrooms, and after parties. Stylists who once praised Meghan's every look began treading lightly, suddenly unsure if supporting her could jeopardize their own relationships with bigger houses. Even seasoned PR agents reportedly advised their clients to pause before saying yes to anything linked to her name. And in fashion, hesitation spreads like wildfire. Once it starts, it's nearly impossible to contain. Behind the scenes, Meghan's team was said to be working around the clock, trying to flip the story and regain control of the narrative. They pitched new partnerships, planned fresh campaigns, and lined up high-profile appearances to re-establish her as a global fashion icon. But insiders claim the resistance from luxury circles was far deeper than expected. Too many quiet warnings, too many behind-the-scenes stories that kept resurfacing in private conversations. No major fashion house wanted to risk becoming part of the next rumor. The industry had already made up its mind, cautious, silent, and distant. Meanwhile, Dior simply moved on without missing a beat. They unveiled new collections, collaborated with trusted A-list icons, and never said a single word about Meghan. No statements, no clarifications, just elegant silence. But that silence said everything. To the insiders watching closely, Dior's quiet grace was the clearest sign yet. Their decision was final, and the door had been firmly closed. Crew members, though, had a simple answer for all the confusion. If there was that much concern over borrowed pieces, they could have just been bought outright. But according to insiders, no matching purchase records were ever found. Still, no one dared make it public, calling out a rising star like Meghan could shut industry doors fast, so most people chose to stay silent and let the whispers fade, or so they hoped. Then came Meghan's royal transition, and instead of calming things down, insiders say the tension actually intensified. Once she stepped into the world of royal protocol, the fashion game changed completely. Inside the monarchy, wardrobe choices aren't just about personal taste, they're part of a carefully structured system. Every loan must be logged, every gift officially declared, and there's absolutely zero room for personal benefit when representing the crown. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, reportedly followed those rules to perfection. Every piece accounted for, every procedure handled by the book. Meghan, however, was said to bring more of that Hollywood energy into the palace, the glitz, the spontaneity, the for-exposure way of doing things. She preferred the industry's familiar rhythm, where designers send stunning gowns and accessories in exchange for publicity, not piles of paperwork and return receipts. That clash of cultures allegedly caused quiet friction right from day one. Palace staff were reportedly stunned by the number of wardrobe requests coming in, and even more surprised by the sky-high value attached to some of the pieces. According to insiders, the spending soon became so noticeable that King Charles III, who was managing royal financial oversight at the time, personally asked for reports comparing Meghan's wardrobe costs with those of other senior royals. Behind closed doors, that move spoke volumes, and the fashion tension inside the palace was officially out in the open. Some designers had reportedly started reaching out directly to palace offices, asking about missing paperwork and overdue returns. Suddenly, royal staff were caught in a whirlwind of confusion, trying to juggle messages between assistants, stylists, and luxury fashion houses all at once. Meetings were quickly called to straighten things out, emphasizing one thing loud and clear: transparency, organization, and accountability in every fashion arrangement. But instead of easing the tension, insiders say Meghan felt unfairly singled out, as if the new rules were being enforced harder on her than anyone else. From her point of view, it wasn't about procedure, it felt like restriction. She allegedly saw it as another attempt to limit her freedom, her style, and her ability to express herself through fashion. However, from the palace's side, the issue wasn't about taste or favoritism, it was about structure and control. At that level of visibility, even a single fashion slip-up can trigger diplomatic ripples. Every gown, every label, every image has political weight, and luxury houses like Dior were watching every move closely. By the time Dior began its quiet internal review, the decision they reached wasn't emotional. It was strategic. According to sources, They looked at the full picture, the recurring mix-ups, the resurfaced emerald gown incident, the strained designer relationships, and even quiet notes from palace wardrobe reports. Together, it all painted a pattern that couture executives simply couldn't ignore. Dior's decision to step back wasn't about jealousy, pettiness, or bias. It was pure caution. In a world where one wrong partnership can shake an entire brand, Dior chose to protect what mattered most, their spotless reputation. In the ruthless world of high fashion, unpredictability means risk. And in that universe, risk costs more than any gown could ever dream of. Insiders say Meghan wanted to embody the pure elegance of couture royalty, but in that realm, elegance isn't just about wearing designer masterpieces, it's about reliability, precision, and above all, trust. When Dior quietly stepped back, the message didn't explode through headlines. It slipped softly through studios and showrooms, whispered from one stylist to another. The shock wasn't loud, but it was powerful. Stylists who once hyped Meghan's every look suddenly started moving carefully, unsure if working with her might stir tension with the bigger fashion houses. Even PR agents reportedly urged their clients to pause before accepting any deal attached to her name. And in fashion, that kind of hesitation spreads like perfume in a closed room. It lingers and multiplies fast. Once it starts, there's no stopping it. Behind the scenes, Meghan's team was said to be hustling nonstop, doing everything possible to flip the narrative. They pitched new partnerships, fresh campaigns, red carpet moments, anything to reestablish her as a global fashion force. But insiders say the pushback from luxury circles was stronger than anyone predicted. Too many quiet warnings, too many private stories whispered between brands and stylists who preferred to stay out of the storm. No one wanted to risk being linked to the next headline or becoming part of another rumor. Meanwhile, Dior kept gliding forward with complete poise, as if nothing had ever happened. They dropped stunning new collections, collaborated with trusted icons, and kept their lips sealed about Meghan. No drama, no statements, just silence. But that silence spoke volumes. To those inside the industry, it was Dior's way of saying everything without saying a word. Their decision was final, and the fashion world heard it loud and clear. Dior had closed that chapter completely, and this time there was no going back. Still, the public never got the full story. Online, fans kept speculating, convinced that Meghan was just moments away from making a dazzling comeback with another luxury label. And maybe she will, because if there's one thing Meghan has always shown, it's her relentless determination. But this time, she's facing an industry where reputation means everything. When the world's biggest fashion house quietly steps away, the rest usually follow. In couture, trust isn't given, it's earned, and it can vanish in an instant. The fashion elite live by one unspoken rule: protect the brand at all costs. Once that trust slips, rebuilding it is like stitching silk with fire. It looks impossible, but maybe, just maybe, it can be done someday. Perhaps the bridges can still be rebuilt. Maybe fresh partnerships will rise, new opportunities will open, and time will smooth over what was once broken. Or maybe insiders will always see it as a lesson, a reputation hit that could have been avoided if things had played out differently. One thing's for sure: when Dior quietly shut that door, the ripple effect hit hard. Stylists, editors, and designers across Paris, London, and beyond took notice. It was no longer gossip. It became a powerful reminder that in the cutthroat world of high fashion, no name is untouchable. When trust fades, even the brightest star can lose its shine. If you found this story wild, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment with your thoughts, because this fashion drama is one for the books.